Hey folks, I'm Swally1, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create your very own faction in Mount and Blade Bannerlord, and how to start your conquest as a king or a queen. If you do know the game already, then you might already notice that there are a lot of tricky parts to be aware of. I do a lot of playthroughs where I conquer the whole map of Caradia in all different kind of ways. In order to be successful with my approach, I reach out to some basic strategies that I can always rely on. I will show you a lot of cool stuff from the beginning until that very moment where you need to be on your own. So grab yourself some popcorn, I wish you a lot of fun with the video, and let's go! Before we head into the character creation, let's talk about some skill related things really quick. The first thing I want to talk about is the artisan community and the Great Investor perk right here. Those two perks are giving you 1 renown per day for each workshop you do own, or for each caravan you do have. And those two perks are very necessary for you to boost your clan tier very quick. No matter what you're doing in the game, you will be able to get some renown, and this is making life easier, and it's a huge time save for you to get to the clan tier 4, to get your kingdom going. And while you are striving for those perks, you will also get yourself some money, which is actually very nice to have, especially at the beginning of your journey in your kingdom. You will see how effective this is going to be later in the video. And another thing I want to talk about is the intelligence attribute, and especially the steward perks right here. The reason why I'm going for intelligence and steward is I will be able to increase my party size very quick without being dependent on a companion. Though increasing the party size is very necessary for us to have in the early game, because with that we can dodge looters, we can dodge enemy attacks, and we are also able to increase our inventory capacity, which is very necessary for us to have to maximize our trading outcome. Anyway, let's head over to the character creation. When you create your character, it is totally up to you which culture you want to go with. And all of those perks you will find here are very nice to have. So do whatever suits you the most. This guide is working no matter which culture you're using. There is no special trick whatsoever. It is totally up to you, whatever suits you the most. If you ask me, I really like to go with the Sturgians, I really like to go with the Flanians. The Battanians are very neat as well, as they make you quicker. In the end, as I already said, all of the cultures are viable to go with, and you will have no trouble no matter which culture you are choosing. So go ahead, have yourself fun, and choose whatever suits you the most. Depending on the culture we have chosen, we do start with our original creation. And as I already mentioned before, we really want to focus on the steward and the trading perks. So we do what we can to get either of those perks going. You can also go with the battle skills you want to have. You can go with charm. I can also really recommend the charming perk. That is something we need later on as well. So it's totally up to you, but I would really recommend to go with the intelligence and trading as fast as possible, as this is what we need to focus on in the early game, and all the other stuff can be concentrated on later. Alright, let's head into the game. No matter if you want to get to trade 125 or not, you should focus on establishing your economy. One easy way to do that is to trade horses, especially mules. You can buy them cheap at places like Caravans or Asgard, and sell them high at Dunglanis or Sanala. You increase your party size while being on the road. You want to maximize your inventory size and minimize your herd limitation for having too many horses. Be aware, you don't upgrade your troops as long as your daily income isn't rising. With doing that, you can limit your expenses and overcome times where you don't get any money. If it happens that you run into bandits and you feel too weak to fight them, then barter yourself out. You can come back later for your revenge. Of course, you can also fight them if you feel ready for it. Go ahead. That's just free renown, loot, and whatsoever. Just do your thing. As soon as you have traded your first mules, you go to Asker to buy in even more mules to sell them. Make sure that you also reach out to Desert and Azawai horses as soon as you do have the coin to buy several stacks of those. And so the trade cycle begins. You can sell the horses at a lot of places, such as Sargov, Oxhall, Pancannock, Apricotia, Rotai, Amitatis, Sibir, Vanovapol, and many others. Will you find all the places? A good selling price for the mules should begin at 100 dinars, for desert horses at 200 dinars, and for Azawai horses at 1000 dinars. With doing that, you will increase your trade skill and your money in no time. Make sure that you don't visit the same places over and over again, else the win of your trade gains is going to decrease. Try to visit as many different places as possible. I recommend to attend the tournaments while you are trading. The trade cycle feels less grindy, you will get experience, and if it happens that you are the champion, you will win renown as well. You can also fight looters, but remember to not upgrade your troops as long as your daily income is negative. Once you reach 30,000 dinars, it is time for you to get your first workshop or caravan. Your choice should depend on whether you want to go with the artisan community or the great investor perk. I recommend workshops as they give you reliable daily income and they only fade if you are at war with the kingdom where the workshop you bought is placed in. Right now, I can recommend woolweavers in the Kusai towns as well as breweries in Vostrum, Saniopa, Askar, and Sanela. And of course, also a silversmith, especially at Sanela. The income of the workshop will rise with the prosperity of the town. Make sure to leave a comment if you want to know more about my workshop recommendations. You can also join our Discord server to stay updated on that. Let's head over to the caravans. Caravans are very vulnerable. They can lose fights and your investment. If you decide to go with caravans, then find a handsome leader which is having something to scouting, tactics, and trading. A caravan investment is worth it when it gives you more income over time than you put into it in the first place. You can decrease the chance of your caravan getting destroyed with a good caravan leader. Scouting and tactics are the most important skills for the survive chance. Trade is the most important skill for the increased income. While you are busy trading, you also want to buy in a lot of different food for your soldiers to increase your steward skill. As I already mentioned, you can increase your party size with boosting that skill. You also will be able to level up fast with all of the experience gained. In order to increase your steward skill, you need to have at least 4 different kinds of food in your inventory. If you want to get your renown and your money as fast as possible, then concentrate on getting to 125 trade. Get your workshops, get your caravans, take care about the food, and maintain positive daily income. Don't worry about anything else. The faster you get there, the more freedom you are having afterwards. Let's talk about the advantages of trading horses and the Trade 125 perk. They are making money in an easy, not frustrating way, giving yourself the time to establish without interruptions, having no feeling of pressure because of the decreasing money, increase your renown no matter what is happening in your playthrough. Each day passing by is giving you automatic renown. The disadvantages are, you spend some time doing not much but trading. Spreaders will tell you that you can be faster by just killing everyone, using mods, decreasing the difficulty, reload as much as you can, and or by just using glitches and bugs. They are not wrong. There are other ways to get your renown and your money as well. You can jump into fights early, you can attend tournaments, you can go into hideout fights, you can mess around with a whole kingdom if you want to. A lot of folks use the smith to get money as well. There's nothing wrong with that too. Well, except the waiting and waiting and waiting. And during all of that, you lose money if you don't have a positive daily income. Now let's imagine that something went wrong on your conquest. You go into a lot of fights, you lose the fights, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself in a very, very bad situation. If you use the things I mentioned in my guide, you will not be in that position at all. You will gain money in a steady way, you will get your economy right in a steady way, and you will have fun with the game for way longer. Once you get to Clan Tier 1, with or without grade 125, you can have one more caravan and one more workshop. Be aware to establish them as quick as possible to increase your daily income. You can also decide to upgrade some troops to go into some fights now. Some people like to serve as a mercenary. What I don't like about this approach is that you have to rely on fighting. Once things turn bad, you can wind up in a desperate situation very quick. Your caravans are a target for enemies, and you could lose your investment. Just as an example. To be honest, I don't want to serve others. I want to be a king, and not someone who is wiping up the mess others are leaving. So I'm always going to dodge on the mercenary, but you do you. The advantages of being a mercenary are: increase your renown and money fast with successful fights, and having loot to sell and a lot of fun. The disadvantages are, depending on the AI, no control over big fights as you cannot be an army leader, you have a high risk of losing caravans and workshops, and you stick to something what some would call a Sigma male grind set. Once you do have the perk 125 enabled, you can do whatever you want on the map. Just make sure to keep the workshops and your caravans going, so you maximize the effect of the perk you have chosen. One thing you can do is to find yourself some companions to outsource some of the roles that you are taking care of so far. Decide for yourself if you want to have an engineer or a surgeon. You can also do it for yourself thanks to all of the points you invest into intelligence, and you fulfill all the roles at once. Make sure that you don't assign them though. What you definitely need is a scout. The scouting skill factor is the cunning attribute. If you don't plan to simulate a lot of fights, and or don't go with roguery as well, then it is better to leave that job to a more experienced person than you are. As a kingdom leader, there are a lot of perks and attributes you need to take care of. Cunning is none of them. I don't recommend to get a quartermaster as well. The quartermaster is getting a lot of perks from the steward skill. Perks you do get for yourself. He also gets the passive effect, party size limit, from that role. Imagine your quartermaster dies all of a sudden, or you get separated in whatever way. You will not be able to reach out to the party size and any other perk advantage as long as you wouldn't have your companion. Well, I can tell you that sucks. Another thing you can do, if you haven't done it already, is to find yourself a spouse. The best way to do that is to look for possibilities in the encyclopedia. You search for heroes, click on nobles, then not married, and the opposite gender of yours. Then you can search by age. If you found your fit, then talk to the clan leader of your sweetheart and pay him the money he wants to have. You should have more than enough, thanks to the daily income and the horse trading. You can decrease the amount of money by convincing your spouse to marry you. I'm always unsuccessful with that. It seems like the girls in Caradia don't like the smell of eau de mulet. And no matter what, I don't recommend that, because the more you need to pay to get your spouse, the more charm experience you get in return. and I'm talking about a lot. So you might just want to talk to the clan leader anyway and get your spouse in an easy but more expansive way. Getting married is not only giving you the opportunity to reach out to your spouse's gear, it is also increasing your renown by a lot, so you really want to take care about that. During the large conquest of getting married, you should get close to clan tier 2. If that isn't the case and you aren't a mercenary, then you can do some hideout fights, tournaments, looter fights, you guessed it. Whatever that gets you some renown. Or not, it doesn't matter. Thanks to the Trade 125 perk, you will get to that clan tier no matter what. You can also relax, smith some stuff, make babies with your spouse, and just pass time by raiding in a town. Of course, you can also go on with trading horses. You are free and strong and an independent person in Caradia. And God, I can tell you, that feels good. As soon as you hit clan tier 2, you can decide if you want to stick to a kingdom as a vassal, continue as a mercenary, or you stay a lonesome rider. If it happens that you decide to talk to a kingdom leader and become a vassal, then you can stick to whatever the AI happens to decide to go for. If there is war, you stick to the fights. Thanks to your running economy and the increased Steward perk, you shouldn't have any trouble to have a high tier party. As long as you don't have too many noble troops, you should maintain them. I can recommend the Imperial Legionaries, the Azawai Master Archer and the Flanian Sharpshooter as really good working low budget tier 5 troops. The big goal is to get a settlement. I can recommend to join an Empire Kingdom or the Flanians. They declare war very often and your chance of getting a settlement is very high. Get some influence by attending fights and form an army so you can siege for yourself if it is needed. After you got success in the siege, you just need to have luck in the votings. Sometimes there is no war happening. Then you can go and attend some hideout fights. Hideout fights are a great opportunity to additionally increase your renown and your money as well. If you capture a lot of bandits, you can sell them very high thanks to the landowner needs manual laborer quest. The quest can be found at all villages which are having a mine. That means clay, salt, iron and silver villages are having that possibility of chance to give you that quest. Once you got yourself a lot of bandit prisoners, you just need to search for the quest at one of those villages and you will get 10 times more of the money than if you would sell them in a city. You can get up to 40 to 50,000 dinars with ease by selling a lot of high value bandit prisoners. For example, the stab bandits. You also will be able to increase your battle experience by doing some hideout fights. Just make sure to one-on-one the bandit boss to maximize the prisoners. If it happens that you do have trouble with killing the bandit boss, no worries. Take your time and give yourself some tries. You will figure it out. Hopefully you are becoming a landlord as a vassal. You shall not leave your kingdom as long as you are below clan tier 4 and you don't have any settlement. Remember, both of the things are required to create your kingdom. The advantages of being a vassal are being able to attend big fights which are giving you a lot of renown and combat experience. You get a lot of loot and an easy way to get a settlement. You also do have the possibility of having a settlement very quick and get money out of everything mentioned before. The disadvantages of being a vassal are: you have a high risk of losing your workshops and your caravans throughout the war declarations against and from your kingdom. You have more expenses because of necessary high tier troops. You have a limited freedom of deciding what kind of settlement you get where. And you are having rubbed off knees from all the kneeling. If you decide to stay independent until level 4, then I have to congratulate you. You are the best. You decided not to bend your knee. You decided to not do as others want you to do. You are free. You decided to pick the longest and toughest way to get to the goal. But who cares? At least you don't need to pick up the dong from Manchuk's horse before he goes for another bad decision. Want to spend some time with the smith? Go ahead. Want to do hideouts and sell bandits to the landowner crest? Go ahead. Do whatever pleases you, as long as you maintain your daily income, your workshops and caravans, you are safe. You will need that money at Clan Tier 4. Be aware. Staying independent does not only take longer than being a vassal, it is also more difficult to get your first settlement. You won't be able to reach out to any other vassals, and you need to get your settlement all on your own without any help from vassals, mercenaries, or anything else. You need to go all on your own against a whole kingdom, and that can be very, very difficult. But we will talk about that later. The advantages of staying independent are: you have complete freedom of decisions, time for smithing, you have time for quests and other stuff. It is also the safest path, as you are not involved into any big fights as long as you don't decide to go into one. You have a big freedom of choice for your first settlement, and you have every other advantage which is connected to a so-called Giga Chat. The disadvantages are: it is also the slowest route to get to your kingdom. It's basically just consisting of grinding renown with tournaments, hideouts and bandits, and of course the trade 125 effect. It has a high difficulty on claiming the first settlement, as you need to go to war single-handedly. And yeah, it's actually only recommended to more experienced players who are searching for a new challenge. No matter what path you have picked, sooner or later you will get to Clan Tier 4. And now it's time to talk about the kingdom creation. Before we go into the process, let me share some thoughts on your kingdom placement. To increase the success of your kingdom, I would recommend to start at the border of the map, where there are not a lot of kingdoms close to you. As soon as you do have a town under your control, you will get a target for more than just one enemy, and factions will declare war. The chance to get a war is related to a lot of things. Your strength in relation to the other kingdom's strength ratings, for example, and it's also related to the distance between you and the other kingdoms. That being said, it is better to have 2 kingdoms close to you than 3. Of course, you cannot prevent several war declarations on the long term, but I think it is better to push back that moment as much as possible. It is not very enjoyable to fight multiple strong enemies at the beginning if you don't have the required tools for it. Influence for piecing out and army creation. Vassals for your strength and money for your wealth. Try establish those things before it comes to the point of a multi-faction war. For the reasons I mentioned, I highly recommend to start your kingdom at the northwest territory of the map, somewhere around the Sturgians and the Battanians. Not only that you are surrounded by just 2 factions, you are also fighting enemies I consider the weakest. If it happens that you have your first settlement in the middle of the map, because you were getting it as a vassal or it was just attractive to you, then don't shy back to reach out to the border as well, and leave the starting settlement. The more centered you are, the higher the risk that you get several war declarations at once from multiple factions. I don't recommend that at all, especially not to non-experienced players. Now, only think about the next steps if you have at least 150,000 dinars in your purse. If you have followed my recommendations, this shouldn't be an issue. If you have chosen to be a vassal, you need to leave your kingdom before you can create one. Choose that you will keep your belongings and the kingdom you left will start a war. You can end that war very quick by just talking to a party leader and offer to peace out by bartering. It is important to do that before you start a kingdom. Just give them money and they will leave you alone. As soon as you created your kingdom, you won't be able to make peace by paying money anymore. You would need to invest influence, which you don't have at the beginning. And even if, you also would need to pay tribute on top of that. That would be a very tough start for your kingdom. After you make peace, and you haven't done already, you will establish a governor, for example your spouse, in the settlement and talk to her or him. The dialogue option of creating your kingdom will show up. Congrats, you did it! Now you can focus on farming influence, taking care about your policies, and increase your kingdom size. But we will talk about that later once again. Let's switch over to the independent path, which is more difficult. You need to find a settlement before you can create your kingdom. And you need to conquer it. But with the increased party size limit and your insane battle skills, it shouldn't be a problem. It just needs patience. Once again. You need to find yourself a settlement which is not having too many defenders. In the best case scenario, you can steal away a castle between two fighting enemies. No matter what, you need to start a war in order to do that. As soon as you have found a suitable castle, you search for a stray army or party of the certain kingdom you want to steal the settlement from. You attack and defeat them in the best possible way. Afterwards, you rush for the castle you want to take and pray that no one is attacking you with a big army while the siege preparation is ongoing. If it happens that a party will attack you and you don't see any way to win that fight, then don't worry, just peace out by bartering and pay some money. You can come back later and try again. It needs some luck and try sometimes. As I already said, it's really for the more experienced players to go that way. It's very challenging and sometimes you don't get it on your first try. After you finally got your first settlement, you can do the same as if you would come from the Vasall approach. Talk to one of the party leaders you are at war with, barter peace, and enjoy your seedling of a kingdom. You made it! Congratulations, you do have your first settlement. The first thing to do after you created a kingdom is gathering influence. You do it the same way as you would gather renown, by going into fights. You need the influence to establish policies. Some of those policies you need to have as quick as possible. Policies like Senate, Sacred Majesty, Royal Commissions, Royal Guard, Castle Charters, Tribunes of the People, Forgiveness of Debts, Royal Privilege, and Noble Retinues. Just take a look at those policies for yourself and decide on your own for which policies you want to go first. But I would really recommend to get all of them. Maybe not when you decided to create your kingdom right afterwards, but it should be done in the early phase. Later in the game, you will need the influence to overcome difficult decisions like making peace even if your vassals are against you. The daily income from the workshops should allow you to pay for at least one more party leader. Establish a companion, most likely someone with scouting, steward, and tactic perks. You can invite the party leader to your army without the need of paying any influence, and you can increase your leadership perks by doing and maintaining that army. Strength rating is very important to increase your kingdom. So you need to get vassals to increase your strength rating. Having vassals is one of the core elements to increase your strength in Caradia and to be more successful. Make sure that you know that they also share tribute payments with you, so they are helpful in not just one way, they are helpful in a lot of different ways, as they also can defend your kingdom against the enemy. There are two ways to get vassals: convincing other clan leaders to join you, or giving one of your companions the honor to serve you as a clan leader. If you want to make other clan leaders join you, then you need to search for clans without a thief at the beginning. After you found that person, you need to convince him to join you. Increasing your charm will help you a lot to make that happen. If you are successful, then you need to pay him to join you. If you fail, then you will be able to try again after a certain amount of time. With the 1.72 update, it is also possible to convince clan leaders while they are in your prison. or in any other prison, as long as you can visit that prison. If you are successful, then you need to pay him to join you. The advantages of getting a clan leader from another kingdom are: you have a high chance of having strong reinforcements and several party leaders early on, and it doesn't require a settlement. The disadvantages are: it is overall difficult and very time-soaking to get them. First of all, you need to find them, then you need to convince them, and then you need to pay them. In the end, this is a very, very high demand. You have a high fail chance in the persuasion process, and it's basically just all about being lucky. If you want to make one of your companions a vassal, then you would need to have at least 500 influence, 20,000 dinars, and a settlement to give away. Just talk to one of your companions and grant them the clan leader status. The advantages are: they are fast and easy to get, and it doesn't require a lot of money. The disadvantages of having a companion as a clan leader is they are weak at the beginning. They are only showing up with one party leader, and it requires a settlement to give away. For them, it takes a long time to get a better and to have more than one party leader on the map, as the amount of party leaders of a clan is depending on their clan tier. You should have not more than 2 more clan leaders at the beginning. The reason why is to make sure that you will show up in the voting for the settlements. You should handle your kingdoms with those clans until you have at least 4 to 5 towns under your control. Those towns will make sure that you make a decent amount of daily income, even if you do need to pay a lot of tribute. You will spare influence with less clan leaders as well. At the beginning, you can also increase your strength with mercenaries. You just need to talk to the mercenary leader to make him join you for money. They will leave you whenever they want, so they are not very reliable, but they can be pretty helpful at the beginning. Alright, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the guide. Feel free to use the comment section below if you have any questions or additions. You can also reach out to me on Twitch. I stream a lot of Bannerlord workdays, and you might want to leave a follow there and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content in the future and all that good stuff. Thanks for having me, and let me know if your conquest was successful with my guide. Alright, goodbye.